Young ladies and gentlemen, good day to all of you. Once again, you are welcome here on the Tribune of Awakening Consciousness. This is the headline of international news. The European world is raising its voice against French President Emmanuel Macron. Since Tuesday evening, this speech that Emmanuel Macron delivered, this new initiative in which Emmanuel Macron has just involved himself, does not please many Europeans at all. In his own country, France, there are many, of course, who are outraged against him. As proof, we have that many French people took to the streets yesterday, March 7th, 2025. March 8th, 2025, I was going to say, in Paris. Instead of celebrating the International Women's Rights Day, they preferred to send a very strong message to Emmanuel Macron. We are not going to send ourselves to eternal rest for Ukraine. The message is very strong. And as if that wasn't enough, you have other state officials who have risen to issue a very serious warning to Emmanuel Macron. One thing that sufficiently proves that the momentum initiated by Emmanuel Macron cannot succeed in any way. So, in the context of this video conference, dear ladies and gentlemen, this is of course what we are going to discuss. But before continuing, I ask you to share this video conference as much as possible. Give it a lot of likes and especially add the video to your favorites. Yes, for our friends on TikTok, add the video to your favorites, leave lots of comments. So let's dive deeper. What needs to be said is that we have in Paris a large mobilization that took place to the point where we hear those who came out, we hear them say, "We will not die for Ukraine." Yes. So it is a mass protest against military deliveries to Kiev and the deployment of Western troops in the country, taking place in Paris. That is to say, they are against France delivering weapons to Ukraine. And in the worst case scenario, even wanting to send French troops to Ukraine. They do not agree with that. Since you are not unaware, France has decided, according to a statement from the French Minister of the Armed Forces, Sébastien Lecornu, France has decided to mobilize a new package of 195 million euros to assist Ukraine militarily. And this thanks to frozen Russian assets. So, they don't have money for themselves to buy the armies sent to Ukraine. They still want to tap into Russia's money. However, the French Minister of Economy and Finance had stated that using Russia's frozen money would go against international law. So, the Minister of the Armed Forces, he doesn't care about that. You can already see this dichotomy, this divergence within the same government. So, all of this is compounded by the fact that Emmanuel Macron, who now positions himself as a war leader, wants to be at the head of a strong and powerful European army. Since Emmanuel Macron says it, France is the greatest power, nuclear or military power in Europe. So he wants to take the lead. That's why people have come out. So, their plan to mobilize $800 billion within the European Union as part of their rearmament plan is not at all pleasing to many European countries. And that's why it is said we have the Italian Deputy Prime Minister named Salvini, who is breaking his silence. This Italian Deputy Prime Minister, he comes out, he says this. This is a message to Macron. He says that the European Union army should not be under the command of a madman. And he mentions the gentleman's name. So, he says this. He says that this is an example of how Europe can move towards peace when other countries strive to do the same. Zelensky, Putin, and Trump are calling for peace. But at the same time, some in Europe are talking about continuing the conflict, to use weapons, bombs, missiles, and tanks. The European Union's army should not be under anyone's control. Who is like that? So, Italy is right. While Trump, Putin, even Zelensky, who is concerned, are all calling for peace, Emmanuel Macron. What problem does he have to say that the conflict should continue? And in recent hours, Emmanuel Macron has been almost joined by Germany. Yes, we learn that Germany is going to create the largest army in Europe for the first time since the two world wars. So, the rearmament plan of Europe, adopted at the summit on March 6th, they adopted a plan. Finally, we learned that they have adopted a rearmament plan. For Europe, it is this plan whose budget amounts to 800 billion euros. So, this plan will lead Germany to create the largest army on the European continent since World War II. So, this information, which was not known to the general public, was made public by the Hungarian Prime Minister, Viktor Orban, always to inform the public of what Germany is preparing. Since Viktor Orban, during an interview, he said, "The American position is very good, it is perfect. This allows for an end to the conflict. The Russian position is perfect." Even Zelensky, the most concerned, is incessantly calling for a ceasefire. So then, why are there certain European countries that want to continue hostilities at all costs? Well, here it is. France currently has the largest army in Europe. Its population exceeds 200,000 people. The armed forces of the FRG has a little over 180,000 military personnel. So he tries to make a small comparison, as if to say, there is no real competition, in fact. Regardless of the nature of rearmament, it cannot work. And so here is what is happening on the European side. Macron's intentions are being questioned. But will this stop Emmanuel Macron, or what will truly make Macron stop in the end? Since for the moment, he is the only blockade to peace. So, what decision will Donald Trump make? Since Donald Trump understands very well in his little game, and as you know, the French Minister of the Armed Forces had said, "We must send ground troops to Ukraine since Ukraine has minerals in these rare earths. And these minerals, we need them for our French military industry for the next 30 to 40 years to come." So, that's the vision. France wants to impose itself at all costs on the global conflict chessboard. France wants to position itself as a conflict leader so that during negotiations, France can have its share of the pie. So, ladies and gentlemen, here is the sad reality making headlines in international news. All that's left for me to say is thank you to each and every one of you. Thank you for sharing the video conference as much as possible. I will be back shortly with more news. This was the voice of your one and only samurai.